Hey everybody, welcome back to the K2 and Online Paddle School. We are back here on YouTube, and this week we're looking at changing your top hands height, like changing gears in your paddle stroke. We want to think about the hands position being a leverage point. The higher your hand is up, the more leverage that you're going to have throughout the motion of a paddle stroke. Think of it like using a wrench. When you use a very short wrench and you're trying to break open a bolt, it's very hard, but if you use a very long wrench, it is much easier because you have a longer fulcrum point to use for leverage. Very similar to this, right? The higher up the hand is, the more force and leverage we can get out of it. But now countering this, if my hand is up too high, all of my joints have to get out of position, and their influence on the rest of my body and how I use the rest of my kinetic chain throughout the stroke is compromised. So there is a balance here that we want to understand. But there are small changes that we can make to move the hand up and down to match the intensity that you're looking for within the stroke. For very short racing durations or sprinting, having the hand in a more aggressive position will give you more leverage for that shorter time frame. But if you're paddling for multiple hours or for days on end, having a lower hand position will keep your body from being overtaxed by the stroke's force. So it's like gears on the bike. Depending on the situation that you're in, you can change this leverage point to match exactly what you need. The bigger idea is being fluid around these ideas. We have joint positions that we don't want to move, and we have one that we can manipulate, and your ability to travel in and out of these different ranges and leverage points can dictate your ability to be a good paddler overall. The main thing that we want to keep intact is the elbow's relationship to the shoulder. We want to try and keep this position about level. You can go up a little, you can go down a little. If the elbow is too low, the hand is too low, and my relationship of my rotation and my movement is compromised because there's just not enough space here. But if my elbow comes up too much, you can see my shoulder starts to come up as well, and the rest of my body has to stretch in order to go upwards. The main issue is as we take paddle strokes, this top hand wants to now go forward. The top shoulder is following the elbow, the higher up it is, and getting out of position like so kills my rotation. I need this shoulder to be back, and the lower this elbow is, the easier it is to do that. So setting up a stroke with good rotation would look like this, and then this arm comes up. You can see how this moves to follow this. But the thing we're looking to understand and manipulate based on the situation that we're in is the hand's relation to the elbow. If my shoulder rotates, my hand drops all the way to here or comes up to here, right? The hand height dramatically changes, but my elbow's height does not change at all. If I were to set up a stroke with my hand level with my elbow, my hand is under my chin right here. But if I tilt my hand up, now my hand is over my head. So the angle of the shoulder as we start the stroke can change tremendously the hand's height as you take the stroke. So looking at this with a paddle, right? If I have my hand level with my elbow, my hand is a little below my jaw, and if I tilt this up like so, you can see that my elbow doesn't go anywhere, but the handle of the paddle now is much higher. So I can get more leverage throughout the stroke by starting in this position. The other added benefit, especially in a sprinting context, is you are going to finish your stroke sooner if you are moving properly. When we look at seated rotation, there is only so much range of motion that I can go through. I start in a position like so, and I end in a position here. So knowing that my hips and shoulders can only go so far and that my hand is following my larger joint, there is only so much range of motion that my hand can go through in a stroke. So looking at a canoe stroke, as I go down to the end of the stroke, that is all dictated by my larger muscles. If I start higher and I only have a set distance I can go down, I will now exit sooner. If I start lower and go down this set distance, I will exit later. So the exit will occur before the paddle goes very negatively. You're going to turn over a little bit sooner within the stroke. All of these are conducive to moving a boat with more intensity. So again, the downside to this is if you try to sustain these aggressive leverages in this slightly quicker turnover that's happening sooner naturally, you are now taxing your muscular and cardiovascular system by a bit more. For an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours, this may not be sustainable for a period of time. The moment that your body can't sustain the power needed for these additional leverages, you are going to fall into diminishing returns. turns where you're taking a stroke with more aggressive leverages, but you're not getting that much out of it. This is where adjusting the top hand down lower to give your system less force, because you're just trying to sustain a boat speed that is much less. The exact same within the kayak stroke. I can set up in a position like this or like so. As my hand drops, you can see the position of my top hand and the paddle follows. Starting a stroke somewhere here is less leverages than a stroke that is going to occur up here. Coming in at a lower degree angle with a lower elbow and top hand, now you open the door for taking potentially thousands of strokes. But if you're only being judged on 100 strokes, you want to try to be as aggressive as you can with your leverages. Understanding your fitness levels, your ability to move your whole body, identifying the stroke rate that you're looking for, and your overall boat speed. These are all pieces of the puzzle that are important for traveling through different leverage points as you start the stroke. Most important leverage point that you don't want to lose is your elbow to shoulder relation and your ability to rotate. The moment the hand comes up and you can't turn your body anymore, then it is no longer worth the perceived leverage advantage, because your powering the stroke system is inherently limited if you can't turn. Don't give up the most powerful part of your stroke for an idea that's way up here, right? Just changing these leverage points from very low to slightly above the head, this gives you a range to work with. You're sprinting in this context or really pushing the pace, or you're just trying to maintain and cruise at a lower intensity level down here with your hand. And within your training, it's very easy to integrate in to try and identify what extra benefits you get out of it. Looking at your distance per stroke, you can cap your strokes per minute to about 30 to 40 and paddle with the top hand in that very specific position and just paddle for 2 minutes. Look at the data that you get from paddling, then do another set with your hand much lower within the stroke and just try to identify the differences in your distance per stroke. If you paddle with the hand higher and you're not going any faster, you're not getting more out of the stroke, it means that your hand may be too high and it compromises how you're moving your body. If all things are the same and the hand is just slightly higher, you should see a distinct difference between the two different speeds or distance per stroke. And then within your training, the next thing is to try to integrate in how long is it sustainable. Now do a 30-minute piece between the two and see if one is faster than the other. If the lower hand position is faster for that 30-minute or 60-minute duration, you now understand that you're not falling into the diminishing returns that your top hand leverages may present. Thank you guys so much for checking out this week's video. Big shout out to our YouTube members. They got to watch this video a whole week early. If you want to see these videos before they're released, please consider signing up to be a YouTube member. It is $2.99 a month. It helps show your support for the YouTube channel and it keeps this community alive. If you need more in-depth information, check out the K2NOnlinePaddleSchool.com today. We have over 300 comprehensive videos to help you put together the little pieces that are necessary to make big gains in your paddle stroke. Work directly with a coach to help systematically bring you forward in your understanding and applying of these ideas. We have different levels of our training program where I'll write you up different workout plans, incorporate different drills, watch how you're paddling and give video review. We can do video calls to give updates on your progress. All that information is found right on the K2NOnlinePaddleSchool.com today. Thank you all so much for the support, and we will see you next week for our next paddle tip video.